Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital with myself, Ursula Mariani, your host and the voice of reason, Sister Bonga.
Hey,
You're being extra careful.
Because the last time I nearly got a punch to the face when I said Sis B. That's why I'm like, hey. Pinson actually has put me in big trouble.
Yes.
Given, how are you?
I'm good.
And you, Bonga, how are you?
I'm awesome, Kaz. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. So one of the things that's a constant theme for myself and for everyone around me, hi, how are you? I'm tired.
Mm.
Hi, how are you? I'm tired. I'm okay. I just feel really tired. I'm on iron supplements. I'm on ashwagandha.
Mm.
I have a cup of coffee in the morning. I'm that person who's just trying their best to survive, and fight fatigue, and sometimes it's not related to a lot of work or a stressful season. It's just related to just feeling physically tired all the time. And I know that this is something we all relate to. And so Given had the bright idea to bring somebody to come in and have a chat about sleep and sleep hygiene and how to optimize on sleep. And so we've got Lali Moraba. Hi. How are you?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Very good. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Somebody with expertise around sleep and sleep hygiene. Perhaps maybe let's start with what is it that you do?
Mm-hmm. So I would describe myself as an adult sleep coach, but also a health and wellness coach.
Okay.
And helping adults sleep better, eat better.
And how do you discover this?
Yeah,
what happens to say, actually, I'm going to be, you said a sleep coach.
Yes.
You know why we're segueing specifically into the career? People have been very interested because we've got very niche careers. So this is one of those things where somebody's like, you can become a sleep coach. So if you could just tell us briefly, how does one become that?
How you stumbled upon and your journey.
Exactly. That was going to be my starting point.
Great.
Is that, as you said, Ursula, we're always tired. And the one thing that we're supposed to do every night is sleep. But many of us struggle with it. And as a child, I struggled with sleep. So that was always my story, that I was a light sleeper. And I thought that's because my parents were light sleepers. So you just kind of go along with that. And then high school, university, same thing. Never really getting good quality sleep. And at some point, I think as a young adult, I thought I gotta figure out how to get myself a good night's sleep. And just always looking around and trying to figure out what can I do. And you mentioned ashwagandha, supplements, always big on that, because actually when I was younger in high school,
It's like I'm the only one who doesn't know about this ashwagandha. It's because my sleep is so good.
Yeah, clearly you don't have stress. Like,
ashwagandha's like,
I'm stressed.
Exactly. I was prescribed sleep meds while I was in high school.
Sure.
And that was a period of time. And after that, I thought, I don't think this is a good idea. I might have been maybe 15, I think it was. And I thought, this can't be right. I didn't know what was better. But I thought whatever's better cannot be dependency on meds.
I'm sorry, I have to make a pause there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Take us back to what it looked like, sleep for you to get to the extent where you're being prescribed medicine at 15 years old.
I think I was a stressed child. I think it was anxiety and stress, and I couldn't switch off my mind. That's why I was saying I was a light sleeper. So that I call it the tortured middle, that you're always in that space where, you're sleeping, but it's not deep, especially the fact that you're sleeping. We shouldn't know that we're sleeping. You should hit the pillow, a few minutes later, you're out, and then it's 5 a.m.
And you're right. That good sleep is when you wake up, you don't know where you are.
Hey,
What day is it? That's when you know you had a good sleep.
Exactly. Is it Saturday? Is it Friday?
But now when you wake up and you know exactly where you are, and it was this mild, low-key sort of awake sleep, and it makes you very irritable. When somebody just touches the door, you lash out at them because the quality of sleep is not good. Yeah.
So I found that I was ruminating a lot and always thinking and full of anxieties and fear as a child. And some of them were probably just made up in my mind. When I look back, I realized that, it was maybe just the nature of my personality, that I'm an intense personality, and that was part of it. Part of it was the environment. I was in boarding school, and again, I didn't know it at the time, but when I look back, I realized I felt very disconnected from my family, felt like I was sent away from home, and those were issues for me. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so yes, prescribed medicine at 15 years, you thought, this is not the way for me. So how do you stumble upon this career?
I continued on with life and bad sleep all along. I studied law and I was a practicing attorney, and that culture itself.
True.
The
It's
corporate
glorified.
culture.
Not sleeping is
Exactly.
glorified.
It's
Yeah.
glorified. You know, I was the girl who was driving home at 2, 3 in the morning from work. And it was just, but I was 20 something. So I could sustain that, right? You can keep going for a while. But I knew that this still wasn't good for me. And along the way, also, while I was practicing law, I stumbled across a health coach, and I studied her health coaching course. And she was very much about the natural way of living and connecting with yourself, your body, nature, and not outsourcing out there, which is what the sleep meds were doing. Is I'm outsourcing instead of trying to figure out what is going on with me. So I did that for some time, what she was teaching, but it wasn't, it helped to some extent, because she was also still big on supplements and that kind of thing. It was actually really only during COVID that, 2018 to 2020, around that time, that I thought, now I'm getting older. I think then I was maybe 30 something, 40. And I thought, I cannot keep going like this. You know, I have to figure out what is going on with my sleep. And it is something that I would raise with, I didn't do the typical conventional doctors. I was always going to alternative health doctors, and they would still give me more supplements. They would help for some time, and then it goes down again. But somewhere between 2018 and 2020, I discovered the whole conversation around blue light. And in 2020, I learned more about that. And then in 2020, I did another health coaching course. And also through that, discovered circadian. I knew about circadian rhythms. I didn't know about circadian biology.
Okay.
And how light is so critical to sleep. Natural light, that is, sunlight. And so I started a practice when I discovered that then, and I thought, okay, this sounds interesting. I've tried a lot of different things, so let me try this. And the whole practice really was just exposing your eyes to morning light. And I started doing that, and it worked.
No. Let's before we say it worked, what's
Yes.
Bada
circadian
boom,
rhythm?
bada ba,
Yeah,
and it worked.
And it worked. That's what she listened to. That's what she listened to. End of episode. Can I go now? That's what she listened to. Let's backtrack.
Yes.
Circadian biology, circadian rhythm,
Okay.
because we assume that people know this.
Yes.
And they don't. Yes. So what's a circadian
So
rhythm?
circadian rhythms is the 24-hour cycle that all of us living beings. So when I say things, I mean animals, plants, and then us humans, we run on that. And it is 24 hours of mostly, it's going to be split depending on the seasons, right? 12 hours of daytime, 12 hours of nighttime. And what it really means for us as humans is that we are essentially light beings. So this is now the circadian biology aspect of it. We are light beings. We are electrical beings. Every single cell in our bodies has clocks. Your organs have clocks. Your skin, the cells in your skin, your systems, whether it's your endocrine system, your digestive system, they all have clocks on them. And those clocks need to work and need to be wound properly by the sun. So that's really the summary of it. And when they're wound properly, we're able to sleep at the times that we're supposed to. We're able to eat when we need to without feeling discomfort after eating, and then go to bed when we need to. Clearly, that wasn't the case for me, and for many of us, I think that's not the case. That we have what we call in the circadian biology circles that our bodies don't know how to tell time anymore. So that rhythm has become a dysregulation. It's broken.
You're speaking to me today. I'm like, mind broken, varsity,
Yeah.
the burn the midnight oil.
Exactly.
That's what my high school teacher used to say. You got to burn the midnight oil. And he was just saying to us that you guys need to work overtime. And I'm assuming this is how we break our natural circadian biology clocks. That being said, you've explained why does it matter. Somebody's listening like, oh my gosh, this is me too. How do we regulate? How do we get it right?
It is, I like to say to people that if that is 100 of your problems, 90 of them are solved by you just catching morning light. So that morning light, that is now sunrise, right? So right now in Joburg, I think it's closer to 6 now in the morning, maybe 5:45. If you catch that as the first light of day, then you are setting the clock. Your body, your cells, as I said, your organs they catch that morning light unfiltered. In other words, you're going outside or you're opening your bedroom window. You want it to be completely unfiltered, completely unhindered by even the glasses or the contacts that people wear. You want for your eyes to make contact with that, and for your skin in the summer, if you can, to wear as little as possible. And which is why ideally it's best for you to go outside, so that light, even if you don't get to see the sun itself, because at that time of morning, it's not like you're going to see the big ball of the sun. But the fact that it is daybreak and it is now sunrise means that there is light that is available. The fact that you can see means that there's light that's available. And if you can connect with that, it is now telling your body every single morning, it is 5:45. If it's in the summer, it is 5 a.m. And in the winter, it's 7 a.m. Where I live, the sun rises around 7 a.m. in the summer. And therefore, my body knows this is where I am. I'm on Earth. I'm in a place where sun rises at 7 a.m. And this is what the rest of my body functions need to do. And at that time of morning, I am now down-regulating my sleep hormones and up-regulating my energy. So the energy hormones that everybody's talking about on social media, like cortisol, it was a big thing in the past year, everybody going on about cortisol. And the reason it becomes a big thing, the reason it becomes dysregulated is because we are so disconnected from the power, from the source that regulates it, which is the sun. So at morning time, the sun tells my body, upregulate cortisol properly, gradually, if that is the first light that I connect with.
Explain this first light. If I've got blackout curtains and I only get out of the bedroom and see light at 9 o'clock, I am messing up.
Yes, you are. Blackout curtains, awesome. Everybody should have that for their nighttime sleep. That's another half of the circadian rhythm part that I can come to later. But for the morning time, you want to make sure that you're now waking up, opening up the curtains, and you are connecting with that light. What do we do in the mornings, most of us? You wake up,
yes,
and we grab this. And then we start fiddling on the phone. You switch on your bathroom light, you go in there, and these lights are harsh. These lights are LED based. And I want to talk a little bit more about that also, but just park that for now. They're LED based and they affect the rhythm that we're supposed to get from the sun. What they do is they spike your cortisol. But what natural light does, it upregulates it gently. It starts at that time of the morning, and then it peaks probably around noon, because that's when it's the brightest part of the day. And then in the afternoon, it starts tapering down. And that's when your body is supposed to now say, okay, I've been busy, I've had a lot of energy, now I'm going towards nighttime. But what happens with our modern living is that that's swapped around. That's why people have high cortisol or way too low cortisol. And then there's all this adrenal fatigue and all these other things that we suffer from, hormonal dysregulation, because now when you just have those lights on in your house first thing in the morning and you're spiking, you're not allowing that gradual increase, and you already get into this very high-strung, highly tense state, and we're go, right?
Cortisol is a stress hormone, right?
And cortisol is a stress hormone, but it's a good hormone. That's the thing. People talk about it as though we need to keep it as low as possible. All these hormones are good hormones. The fact that it might be too high or too low in some people is because we have abused it, and you're not doing what you need to do properly with it. And that's and then you're waking up, and then you're also grabbing coffee. A lot of people then will go for the coffee first thing also in the morning.
Now I feel like now you're gonna take away everything. Now you're gonna say my 55-inch screen must go.
I'm coming to that. That's the evening time.
You see now.
I have blackout curtains, and I tell my day when it's going to start. Like my body doesn't tell me, because even Boga says, "Yo, these blackout curtains are hectic.
They're too much."
Yeah, when my bedroom is closed, it's nighttime until I decide it's not.
So no amount of light really comes through in your bedroom.
None.
Wow.
What? So like if we had to close my bedroom, it's so dark. My blackout curtains are really hectic. Yeah, no, you're talking to me. And I thought I was doing a good thing.
And you are for the night time.
You are absolutely right. That's exactly what you need to be doing. The problem is the fact that you are now going out only at night. And I should also say that it's not a terrible thing going out at night. It's worse if you're going out only at midday.
Yes.
Only then catching that natural light at the peak of the day, because at solar noon, at midday, that is the peak.
Yes. What's a good time to? Maybe 9 was a bit of an exaggeration, because I'm thinking of somebody who wakes up. Like for me, a good time to wake up is around 7. Is that too late?
For that sunrise hour, which is also when our sleep hormones are made, it is a bit late, because what happens, so let's not just stick to summer. Let's stick to summer, because these things change according to the seasons.
Yes.
So if 5 a.m. is at sunrise in the summer, for about 50 minutes of that time, that is where you are down-regulating the melatonin from the night before, but you are starting to synthesize the precursor hormones that make the melatonin. Because the melatonin, you're going to need it for your nighttime sleep. But the hormones that lead to it are also being made during the day. Okay, that's the one function of that. And then also, as I said, you're telling your body, your whole being, this is where I am, 5 a.m. in Joburg. This is the time. You have to tell your body the right time. So that's why it's important to catch that. But if you miss that, it's not the biggest crisis. But that was the important thing for me, to catch the time for my sleep. That's what really made a difference for my sleep. The thing about the sun is that the full spectrum of the sun, at different times of the day, it has different functions, and they all work in a beautiful symphony. So you might miss that 50 minutes or so. For the next 2 hours is now UVA time. So now that's going to be like 6 to 8, right? It's about UVA time. That also has a lot of other benefits to your body, your organs and your digestive system. When you expose your belly, if you have leaky gut or whatever, that's a good time to expose your belly to the sun at that time. And so that's about the 2 hours. Then from 8 onwards is now UVB. Yes, exactly. People need to be a little bit, stripping.
Yeah.
Show off.
Okay.
Mom fundisi.
Yeah, I know.
It's so, you're saying that, and I often think how unfortunate it is that we Africans, the people of the sun and all of that, have been led to covering up everything. I'm not saying people must go around undressed, but we cover up because that's what we've been. That's what we've been taught, and that's culture. I don't know if it's a culture or just adopted culture along the way, and the whole thing of upholding morals. It's all good, but we cover up, and we are the ones who are most disadvantaged because of our melanated skin. We need that light. So much more of it. That's the big.
You know what I'm liking about this morning time in the sun, how it also forces you to quieten down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because there's so much you can do when you're outside trying to get the sun. Read a book or just enjoy the sun. Maybe just keep quiet for that period.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm imagining. Going outside, a moment of downtime and just taking in the sun. You're getting also that time to like just quiet.
Because like you said, we wake up. And I'm somebody who...
And we're going.
Because
there's
I'm
actually
often snoozing my alarm.
There's actually something I was telling you guys that for me, I take magnesium, glycinate, and vitamin D3 because based on the research I did, I actually realized that a lot of people are actually vitamin D deficient and they don't know it. And that's what then causes them to be depressed or anxious or whatever the case may be. And it's so many people, and it's very regional as well, depending on where you're from. So even if you do spend some time outside, you might actually find that you're not getting enough sunlight. Or you find with us where we're working jobs that require us to be in offices, or when you're working from home, you're inside, especially with the units that we live in, they don't bring in as much light, right? And it's something that I would have never thought of, that stress and anxiety as well as depression can be linked to something as simple as you just not getting enough sunlight.
Yep. Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's something that I can even talk about now. That I say to people, are you depressed or are you sun deprived? And of course, it comes across initially as offensive, especially when you're really having serious mental health issues. And the point of it is not to minimize your mental health issues, but it's to trigger something in your mind. The fact that you are absolutely not exposed to sunlight means that you're not making the serotonin, the tryptophan, those hormones that you need, which is what these drugs give you. The antidepressant drugs are meant to come in there and to allow your body to maintain the serotonin in different parts of your body. That's what they do. But imagine if you were doing that for free by just regular sun exposure. So I'm not saying to a person stop taking meds at all, but I am saying help yourself with this. So take the meds and help yourself by doing this, because there is so much to it. There is so much value to just connecting with sun as part of nature, with the air outside, so as you're talking about the morning thing. So what I do in the mornings is I go out barefoot also to go and ground myself. And it's easy to do that in the summer. In the winter, another story. But I'll go out and I'm connecting with the sun, and I will mostly I'm reading, praying, and then I work out, and I work out outside. So all that time I'm not just sitting doing nothing. So even in winter, yes, I do. I've become so used to it.
Oh,
honestly.
I thought when you're saying it's another story, you mean like you don't do it in winter. So you do
It's
it
tough.
in winter.
No, I meant the grounding can be hard in the winter. But I do because I have grass where I can stand, and grass is not as cold as other surfaces. And you have to, for grounding purposes, you need to be on natural surfaces.
I see.
So soil.
So leave
grass.
your patio.
So yeah. I mean, unless your patio is grounded, you want to be on natural surfaces, like we're saying, grass, soil, what else? Yeah, mostly those kind of surfaces. But I was saying that on my patio, I've noticed that there's some parts of the edges where weeds have been growing through. So that to me signals that, actually that's a good spot to ground.
Okay.
Because then I can see that if weeds are coming through there's life.
Yes,
So the whole thing of grounding is that you're connecting with electrons. And electrons, if you remember from way back in school, is the negative charge that we need in our body. That is what our bodies run on in order to lower the inflammation that happens in the body. So when I'm doing that, and then I'm connecting with the light at the same time, and then I'm also meditating, praying, all of that comes together to make me a far less depressed person, less anxious, a better slept person in the evening. And it's because I'm looking at myself as a whole person and not just as little units here and there, but that every part of me affects all the other parts of me.
Yeah, this is highlighting so many things that we take for granted.
Absolutely.
That literally science already has like papers upon papers written about it. And I wonder if, because like the thing you're talking about walking barefoot as well, like we've become so conditioned not to be barefoot walking people.
Yes.
It's like an embarrassing thing. Like imagine someone seeing you in the complex busy walking barefoot. You feel uncomfortable. Ngati, you're naked.
Yeah, for me, it's like my feet are, I don't know what I think they are, but they're just not meant to be on the ground. I treat them like they're supposed to be. Like I'm always like, like their feet, Ursula.
Yeah, like I have so many flip-flops for that purpose. Like, yeah, I also cannot imagine myself like walking all the time barefoot.
I want to backtrack to something you were trying to walk us through the cycle, and then I disturbed you by saying the stomach out, and I'm so sorry. But if we can run back through, teach us the cycle from morning, and then you said now you get through the UVA space where you're supposed to expose your tummy and the times around that, and then the next,
So now we come to UVB, which is what we know as vitamin D zone. And that's what everybody knows it as. And we're always told, try and be out for 20 minutes between 10 and 2 in the summer, that kind of thing. And yes, it is indeed vitamin D zone, but it's also a whole lot of these other benefits that we've already spoken about, that they don't stop. So your synthesis of sleep hormones doesn't just stop at a certain hour. It's working together. All of these things are working together. Whatever's happening in your gut still needs that time. That UVB time also, that you are helping your gut to what is the word? It makes the lining, it keeps making the lining. They say about every 5 to 7 days that your gut lining is renewed, yes. But that depends on what? You getting enough sunlight. The fact that we're covered up prevents you from getting that. And then I also want to say about that vitamin D is that we think of it as just vitamin D, it helps with colds and that. But vitamin D is actually a very powerful hormone. And a lot of people are beginning to really object to the fact that they're calling it a vitamin. It's not a vitamin, it's a hormone, and it works with your cholesterol to help, especially, in both sexes, but to help, especially for us women, in making sure that we have endocrine hormones functioning properly.
It
the
seems
reproductive
like
system.
everything is helping, especially women. It's like nothing helps, especially men.
No.
Given
The
doesn't
men
have
are
a
there.
camera
The
on
men
him,
are
he
there.
rolled his eyes. For the audience at home, he went, especially women. Yes.
But I will speak for the women because that's what I'm more interested in, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it's doing something for the men. That
Something.
is awesome, right? but you know why it's
Because of
actually very
patriarchy,
important.
what more do you want? Kent? Oh my gosh.
As women get older,
Yeah.
and we go into menopause and that, our hormones are downgrading, right? And that's why we need to have certain healthy levels of cholesterol. They need to be high enough for us to avoid the effects of menopause that happen. whereas men don't do that. So that's important for us from that angle. So then that's now the UVB zone. And then we're going back to now, well, I shouldn't do that. I should do that. I guess, the day is ending. And
This
as
is
the
after
day
2 o'clock.
ends, this is now, 2, 3. I mean, to be honest, in Joburg, you can still make, in the peak of summer, you can still make vitamin D at up to like 4 p.m. So I have an app called D-Minder that you can use to check the vitamin D zone.
Yeah.
Okay. But now here's the important thing about vitamin D. That's why a lot of people now complain about, but I go out in the sun and I get burnt. The problem is you're going out for the first time in the day, right? At 10 a.m. or at 2 p.m. You haven't built that solar callus that you need from the morning. You need to get morning light in order for you to become tolerant of the sunlight in the middle of the day. And we call it a solar callus. You know the calluses that we get on our feet?
On our feet.
Exactly. We all need to build that. And us as Black people, we have thankfully been given the melanin. And that is part of our solar callus. The thing, though, is that we need more than that 20 minutes that dermatologists are always talking about. That is not enough for us at all.
So, hey, this might be a bit of a controversial. Oringa sunscreen.
Do you want me to go there? I love to go there.
Because I hear that you are going there.
I'm going there.
So I want you to go there.
Melanin is natural sunscreen. Sunscreen is unfortunately highly carcinogenic. But saying that and putting it out in the mainstream takes away profits from the people who make profits from that. Think about it. How has humanity survived all these millennia? How have Africans survived if we needed sunscreen? We do not, and we did not back then. What we do need is to learn how to harness the power of the sun properly. People need sunscreen because we go, like I said, you go on holiday, you sit at the beach all day, and you're in your little bikini. That's why you need sunscreen, because you're exposing yourself to harsh sun at that time of the day. But if you are using the sun properly, if you think of how old, in the traditional times, or even today in the villages, how Africans live, that they live in homes where there's no electricity around them, right? So the first light of day that comes into their homes is sunlight. And then they have to get out of those homes because there's little huts, rondavilles. They don't work inside those homes. Those homes are really for sleep, for those minor essentials. So most of their life is out in the
watching
garden.
TV and chilling.
No, that's not what they're doing in the village, right? No. So they are able to harness the power of the sun properly because they get in the morning light already. And then if there are people who are working out in the fields, you're not going to find them still in the fields working at midday.
Yeah.
You find them under the trees resting.
Yes.
And they know that this is, and it's not something which I don't think they do it consciously, but they just know that this is part of the rhythm of life. We in modern society, in Joburg and other such places, we don't have that connection anymore because we're going this go life, and then it goes into the evenings. But in the village, it becomes sunset again, Gabo 7, I don't know, 8 p.m. And then they're back in their homes. And then the only light they have is firelight. And firelight is incredibly healing, and it has the same colors as the sunset, those beautiful red hues. And therefore, that's not harmful. And maybe even candles. They might even use candles, right? And again, that's also, it has the nice colors. Yeah. It's not these harsh lights that we have. I mentioned the LEDs earlier.
This studio light is there.
These
Exactly,
he's aging you, this one.
I need some kind of
My
sunscreen that
patriarchy
will
will keep me young.
I'm obsessed with good lighting. Like, I want a room to look, even if it's night, like daylight.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And electricity came into being in the light bulb, and like, I think it was in the 1890s when we first got electricity. And if you look at history, a lot of problems started then. But it wasn't even as bad as it is now, because the first light bulb was the incandescent light bulb, those old ones that we used to have. And thankfully,
last forever.
And they last forever, But I mean, these ones last even longer, the LEDs, because the LEDs, their focus is to conserve energy. Whereas the incandescent, when you touched it, was even hot. It had that heat, right? And that's why they've been trying to change for us to use more and more of the LEDs, because all they're interested in is saving energy and not necessarily what the effects of those lights are on our bodies and on our health. And research is, as you said, given earlier, there are so many papers out there. You will never hear it on the evening news, though. You'll never hear about those papers on the evening news because it doesn't benefit the powers that be to tell you that actually it's better for you to turn off your lights early or to use incandescent light bulbs or to use candles and not to be using these lights that we have.
What
Now,
lights
when
do you use in your home?
So no, that's the thing. I mean, safety is also an issue, right?
Yes,
so
yes, yes.
if we didn't have kids, maybe I would, but life is happening in the home. So we actually use red light bulbs. Well, in parts of the house, but mostly it's yellow and red light bulbs. And they give that yellow, orangey light. Exactly. They have that hue, and that helps to still communicate to the body that we're going to go to bed. We're going to go to bed. And then in the bedroom, we have the Himalayan salt lamps because they're also pink. They have that. Some of them are really, really dark, and they also emit that red. So when I have those lights on, it helps us to just wind down. I mean, my family is definitely not in support of all my changes in the home. They moan about it, but I'm just like, that's what we're doing. And it's the law of this home. So that's what I encourage people to do. And they're not easy to find necessarily, but I've been able to order some from Take a Lot, and I'm just like, I'm going to stock up so that for the next 50 years, I'm not out of these.
And I'm winding down.
And now that I'm talking about this, everybody else will be going to Take a Lot.
And you already have yours.
I got mine.
So you guys go to it's your turn now to go to Take a Lot.
I got mine, yeah.
So, okay, so then now we're going through the day. We come down. We've done UVB after that.
So now it's nightfall, sunset, right? So now you're in your home. You're saying, Bonga, that you love to have this brightness. Unfortunately for you, you know what it does? What is that communicating? That it is daytime. Your body thinks any time of day is constantly noon. Because these lights really, that's the artificial blue light in these lights says to you that it's noontime. So especially for people in the professional sector, you're working hard in the office all day, you come home, and then you actually do feel tired because your body still communicates to you. You still feel tired, but then about 8 in the evening, because of these lights, you get the second wind.
Oh, confused.
Your body's confused. So you get this wired but tired feeling where you know that you could go to bed, but you know that it's going to be hard for you to actually settle down.
So, I mean, you're walking us through, we've done now the afternoon where you're getting vitamin D. This is just after 2 o'clock. And now what's the next, session?
So now as you are in your home and you're trying to close down the day, let's say it's 8 in the evening, many of us are still running around having late supper, which is another issue that affects your circadian rhythm, depending on your meals are supposed to be timed according to also the cycle of light and night and day, but we're having late suppers 8-9 p.m. and then only going to bed about 11. And I heard somebody the other day saying, oh, they're really making an effort that 11 p.m. is the latest they're going to bed now. And I'm thinking, what were you doing before?
I must be honest, if I made 11 p.m. for a whole week, that would be an achievement. I sleep at around 1.
regularly. Oh my word. So
did you see like a whole body cringe?
I cannot imagine. I cannot know.
She's like regularly.
Yo. 9. Ideally, and I don't say this because I'm perfect at it, not at all, but really 9:30, we need to be winding down because our night hormones are going to kick in. Melatonin that we all know about, that people take external supplements for, is actually more than being a sleep hormone. It is a hormone of the dark. And you need to be in that dark zone in order for your body to make melatonin, right? And then again, as I say, it's more than just sleep. It is the most powerful antioxidant in your body. So people are into the berries, the goji berries, whatever. Yeah. Great, awesome. Take those things. But you have melatonin in your body that can be lowering inflammation, providing you with healing, if only you would allow your body to make it. But you are not allowing that. Instead, you are supplementing, and many of these supplements have been found to actually have the incorrect amount of melatonin that you might need that is different from what I need also. But we don't know that, and we just think, I'll just pop the pill and go to bed. And then it doesn't even work for everybody, actually. I find that it gives me weird dreams. So now you need to be trying to get to bed such that, so you need to finish eating early enough, right? And get to bed to allow your body to now make the night hormones and to calculate also the amount of energy that you need for the next day. While you were sleeping, your body is making calculations. of what you need for the next day. So people are struggling also with weight loss, right? A person is like, I can't seem to get it right, etc. And your sleep is connected to that. That you want to lose weight, but you're not sleeping enough. And therefore your body is miscalculating the amount of energy that you need for the following day. And all of that comes together. And it has a huge impact on you. Yeah.
How long does it take if somebody's listening and says, okay, I'm going to try? How long do I need to try before I start seeing a bit of a difference in my energy levels,
I know, I don't remember the exact time that it took me, but I know that it was definitely like within 2 weeks, I felt a real difference in my sleep. But there's been interesting research done actually, where within 3 to 7 days, with regard to just being able to fall asleep and stay asleep for many people, there's research that's been done where they took them camping. They took a group of people camping. And when you're out in the woods, there's no artificial lights. They didn't have cell phones on them. It was just the moon and the sun. And these are city people who were struggling with sleep. And by the time that they were done with the camp and went back into the city, their sleep had been fixed. But the thing is, you need to continue that life once you're in the city. Because if you don't, you are undoing all the good work. And I mean, it can even take, like as I said, 3 days, because some of them have done it over a weekend. So maybe like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No, this is 100% true. We see it. So. We see it when we wake up early for 5 days.
Yes.
And on the 6th day, you don't need to. But your body does it.
Does it anyway.
So this is true. And it doesn't take that long to regulate yourself.
Just regulate
this is the
it,
truth.
yeah. You just need to give yourself that opportunity.
To do it.
Yeah.
And it might be difficult the first 2-3 nights, but your body does catch on.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying because it's true.
It is very true. So you get in that morning light, but then the other half of it, which I mentioned earlier, is the evening light, that you need to now turn off the artificial light and stop telling your body that it is noon when it's actually 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Now, what does that mean for people who are working and you have emails to send, your whole family is going up and down? You asked me about the light bulbs and what lighting do we use? And so I say to people, change your lighting, or even don't use the big overhead lights, because these are also still the way that our eyes are structured. And you would know probably from, an anatomy perspective, is that if there's light up overhead, my body still thinks it's the sun. Again, that messaging. But if you have side lights in your house, then at least at that time of night, your body then doesn't, or at least your eyes, doesn't think it's noon.
And side lights aren't that bright.
They're not that bright.
Like
just
nice
it's contained,
hue,
right?
yes.
It's contained. And then if you need to work on your computer, there's filters that you can buy. Our phones, especially if you have, I think even on Android, they do have it actually. They have these color filters.
iPhone users, guys, are like snobs of notes.
We are, auntie.
Yo. I think in Android they have that. Oh my god. I think Android might have. I'm not sure. Do they even know the sun? Those are.
I apologize.
Oh my gosh, you guys are such snobs.
It didn't come out right.
It didn't come
my
out
head
right.
to show that I'm also an iPhone user, like all of us actually. Right over.
Ila fella.
Sorry, given no offense to Android users, but I can only speak from an iPhone perspective. That if you go, you have to actually hack it. You have to watch a YouTube video to go and hack it and be able to get a shortcut that provides color filters on your phone. So it gets a very red screen. So if you're watching here, I click that 3 times and it gets a red screen. And I can read on this at night, at least. I don't, but that for me is maybe like a contingency plan. The number one thing that I recommend.
I just want to say,
yes,
on Android, there's no hack.
There is.
Bring down your notification bar and then just scroll there and you'll see night light. Bah!
Sorry to burst your bubble, given that is not
same.
sufficient. Not the same.
Okay.
Even on the iPhone, they have night shift on it. Not the same. This one, for some reason, I don't know why they're doing this. And I suppose, again, who knows, the powers that be, it's you have to get into different parts of your phone under color filters, color temperature, and then
maybe
change
just lift up your phones, people, because we can see what you're doing. You see, like it changes to like.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw
and
that.
then it's back. It's red again.
Yeah.
So that's what.
I think I can already hear someone's parents saying these demonic lights that you're putting on your phone and in all around this house.
But
The red lights, ne?
Yes, yes.
You were getting
Yes,
to the point where you were saying that even that though is like if I have to touch my phone.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want to have that to make sure that at least if I pick up my phone in the middle of the night, it's not on that shocking blue.
It's not jarring.
So yeah, exactly, which can be very, very jarring. What I do have is blue light blocking glasses. I wear those every night, and they also have the red lens on
Take
them.
a lot again?
No, that's the thing about South Africa. They're not on Take a Lot, and the ones that are there, a lot of people are selling these clear ones. They're useless. I know people who've bought those are useless. They don't do the job. You want the ones that are orange or red. And there are a few
What are
companies. These are the blue light blocking glasses.
Oh, glasses.
Yes,
Okay.
they're glasses. So those ones, there are a few companies that sell them in SA. They're not cheap. They go for maybe about 2,000 Rand or so. But for me, they've been a lifesaver. I could not
I'd rather.
have managed without them. It was a
rather not
worthwhile
have this-
investment.
I'd rather not have this rhythm.
Or some Android, but
What are those pills? Ashwagandha.
But the other thing then, Given, is that then you can buy filters. There's also other filters that you can, like it's an app that you buy and you put on your computer, on your phone, on your iPad. That is cheaper. There are those, I think there's a lifetime subscription and also an annual subscription to those filters. Then whenever you're working on your devices at night, it has that on it. That doesn't cover the lighting in your house,
Okay.
of course, but that is at least on your devices. So you're able to have that. As I said, at least for the lighting in the house, change your light bulbs, use side lights and not the big overhead lights. In our house, I've even bought red cellophane paper and I've covered like our alarm panel. So that at least,
Cellophane paper.
you know, that crinkly paper.
Oh, okay.
It's that
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So then that red one, we cover the alarm panel because that alarm is very harsh and it's blue light. And the light that comes through there is that red. So if I happen to walk out, because it's right outside our bedroom, if I happen to walk out, it's covered by that. That's a very cheap thing to do. If you're not
Okay.
able to do all these other things, it's trying to do as many things as possible to mitigate the effects of the artificial blue light, because blue light exists in nature, but it's always accompanied by the other colors in the spectrum of the sun. The problem with the light bulbs that we're using and they're everywhere, your microwave, your fridge, what else, your washing machine, your dishwasher, those little lights on that, they're all blue light dominant, and it's all also on an LED foundation. So you just try and cover those little parts around your life, and you start looking at your house and you think, where are the gaps that are going to cause me circadian rhythm dysregulation? And it's very easy to do. It really isn't.
Yeah, I must ask. So now circling back to where you began as someone who was a light sleeper.
Yes.
Or maybe that's not what you officially call it, but that's what you
that's what I
perceived
thought, yeah.
yourself as. Having gone through this entire process and where you're at now,
Yeah.
what improvements have you seen?
That's the thing, you know, but I was trying to look for sleep, and that's the one improvement I got. But I was also somebody that I could never describe as calm and relaxed, but I can be now. I don't suffer from as much anxiety as I used to. I was highly
I'm
anxious.
sold. The light is doing so, guys. The glass is doing so, guys. That's what I need. I need to
Absolutely.
lower the anxiety levels.
Yeah.
My goodness.
The anxiety levels, the energy. I was also always tired, right? Because if I'm not sleeping, I'm tired during the day and it's making me cranky and I'm not thinking and I'm not as focused as I should be. And that has been a huge benefit for me, which is precisely why I preach this gospel so much, and especially for professionals and for young women to realize that eventually you'll get to my age and things start happening. But if you start mitigating earlier in life, it will help you, you know. It's even been an issue with people's fertility, with people's menstrual cycle, that it's also run on the circadian rhythm. And if you're not aware of that, you're suffering from things that you're medicating for. And such. Yeah.
You know, there's two things I'm thinking about. One is just a general observation, or not observation, but lesson. I can't remember who I was having this conversation with, but just on how black grannies are much stronger than other races, mainly because, and this friend and I were having the chat around the fact that there's a time they come out of the house and sit on the stoop to get some sun, you know. Just
Yeah,
speaking-
that was like uktamela isicebo, I think they used to call it. That's actually a thing.
Yeah, black women, especially grannies.
Uktamela isicebo. This cebo part I might be getting wrong, but uktamela means to bask.
Oh,
Yes.
wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. I mean, we see them do it, but I didn't know there was a term
I
for
literally
it.
grew up, and that's
That
what
is
we
so
used to. We even, yeah,
beautiful.
that's literally in the morning. We'd get up, tameli strip.
That's what we
Exactly,
also say.
exactly, yeah.
And then another thing, what is the perfect evening routine? From food, from what time you should be switching off your day in terms of unwinding, etc.
Yeah, so that's also, again, depending on the seasons. So if we speak of winter, let me use winter for this example, we're really supposed to be trying to hibernate more than what we do in the summer. But the modern life is such that whether it's summer or winter, we're doing the same thing. So in the winter, sunset is 5, 6, I think. So by then, you need to have eaten. You need to try and keep your eating windows within sunlight time. So that also goes in the face of intermittent fasting that people are so into. And you need to, so no, I was one of them. Hey, I was one of them. So I speak for myself. I was one of them. And I should say there's nothing wrong with intermittent fasting. It needs to be done the opposite way. So in the winter, what I tend to do is have my early breakfast and a lunch, and then an early supper. But I mean, across the board, for us as a family, 5, 6 p.m. is the latest that we have supper. In the winter, at least for me and my husband, we try and have it by 4 p.m. Because then that's going to give us, our body, the time to be able to say, okay, by the time that we go to bed around 9:30, we have digested. So that evening routine needs to be such that when you get to bed and you're going to sleep, digestion is complete. Because while you're digesting, your insulin is a hormone that is still active at night, and at that time of digestion. And if it's still active, it's stopping what I mentioned earlier, another hormone called leptin, which makes the calculations for the energy you need for the following day. And so it's stopping the leptin, and it's stopping the melatonin also from reactivating.
Why do you differentiate between summer and winter? In terms of you eat supper earlier in winter?
Because of the length of day that we have.
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Because your day is going to be much shorter in the winter. In the summer, it's a lot longer. You can get away with a lot more in being able to have later suppers and as such. But this is the thing, is that we don't know this because we're so disconnected.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I struggle with?
So,
and here's what I struggle with. There's so much research, it's overwhelming. Yeah. And there's so many people saying, do this, do that, and steering you in different ways. Because as you're speaking, I remember there's a diet called the wolf diet. And the premise around it is that, when you're sleeping, now you enter into your parasympathetic pathway versus your sympathetic pathway, meaning that, like, you're winding down. Yeah. And the whole essence around parasympathetic is rest and digest. Yeah. So the concept is that you should eat right before you fall asleep, because then. So now I'm listening to you. I'm just like, what are we supposed to do? Well, you know, one thing that we like to say.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, it can be. In the circadian biology circles, we like, and when I say these circles, honestly, it's with American, like a very small niche group of people in America, and I am proudly the first certified circadian biology coach in Africa.
Let's go.
So, amen. Is that the science is complicated, but the actions are simple. So that research is indeed there, and it's tons, and it's conflicting, and this one says this at midday, the next one says this at breakfast. But if you tune in to who you are as a person, and if you connect with nature, then you realize my actions can be simpler. If I stop outsourcing to the scientist, to the research paper, and I start thinking of myself as my own health guru, and start thinking what actually makes sense right now. Of course, you may not start there because maybe you've just been living this life where you've never even thought about empowering yourself from a health perspective, and you don't know where to start. So there's nothing wrong with asking people and getting as much information as you can. But eventually, you're going to have to come and sit down and decide, what am I going to try? And be okay with trying things. I try things out all the time.
This is what
I love that.
I'm also at that place where, like, be okay to try stuff.
Be okay.
You know, because another research paper say be okay to be like, okay, let me actually give this a try.
Yes.
Until you find the thing that works for you. Because like you're saying, what you're sharing with us right now is really just what nature looks like. Yeah. It's just what nature looks like.
And that's what we want people to do, to stop saying nature is the Kruger Park when you go there. Nature is where you are. As we're talking about the sun, there's the moon, and there's the grass that you have. If you have grass, exactly. It's not somewhere you go to.
You said you exercise in the morning. There's 2 questions I want to ask.
Yes.
You said you exercise in the morning. Why morning and not evening? And then the second thing would be naps. Should we
Okay.
be taking naps? What time should we take a nap if we are to take a nap? Or is it that if we're following the correct thing, we don't even need a nap? Okay.
Yeah.
So
So the exercise, honestly, we all know that we need to move, right? So I get it in the morning, so I know I've done it,
okay.
right? And in fact, according to some people's circadian biology principles, they say that it might be better for some people to work out around 5 p.m. But I know I'm not going to do that. I just know. So I'm going to get my movement in the morning. And also, many times during the week, we're going for family walks at that sunrise time. So we're getting a walk and also getting that.
Some exercise.
Exactly, especially at UVA time. That's when most of our walks are happening. So I'm getting that, a double dose. So really, I don't think people need to fuss too much about exercise. The only thing I have about exercise, that's a bit of a reservation, is working out at 5 a.m. in the gym, because those harsh lights, again, they are on you and they are actually conflicting with what's happening in your body. At
Lavona
that
5
time.
a.m. club lap up.
5 a.m. club, wake up and see the sun,
Lapapa.
not gym. Bablele.
I knew that was coming.
So it's fine if you know that, okay, I've already had my morning light. At least you've had some 15 minutes of that in the morning. Then you can go to gym, and then also on your way back home, try and mitigate the lights from the gym and keep your window down, in your car. Just wind down that. And then you asked me about naps. Yes. Naps. Again, you have to figure out your own body. There's nothing wrong with napping during the day. There really isn't. They can be quite helpful for a lot of people. And that's an interesting thing that you say, because when I used to struggle with sleep, if I had even a 10-minute nap in the middle of the day, my sleep was ruined for the evening.
This is where I'm
But
at.
now I can.
Oh, is it?
Now I can. Actually, I can have a nap. And I napped before coming here. And I don't feel that anxiety of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen at night? For some reason, even that nap during the day doesn't affect my sleep like it used to when I used to have sleep problems.
I'm that person. Like, I need a nap, but if I have a nap,
It's over.
it's late for me. Then I have to sleep at 1.
At 1, you see. So it's, again, because your clocks are confused. Your body clocks are confused. So some people will be able to nap, others not. But I'm very much an advocate of people being able to nap, even at work if they need to. And just, 10 minutes, 20.
Yo,
Set
like,
an alarm.
you know
You feel
that
powerful,
drive,
man.
from work where you're like literally
Yeah.
dozing
You
off
see,
as
yeah,
you're
quite
driving.
insane.
Me too. That
And I
after
feel
that
like-
4 o'clock nap.
Yes.
Slaps.
I feel like if work can just,
yes,
say
allow
come
for-
with, allow for naps, Jay. We can drive home and be safe. Reduce accidents.
Yeah.
I even wonder sometimes around the productivity, if they were like little nap pods at work, what would it do for productivity? If somebody
Google
could
has
take
those.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
And
man.
even
Huawei
London law
here in
firms,
South Africa has
do
those.
they have that?
Mm.
Unfortunately, for some of these, is that I used to think that they were a wonderful idea until I learned that in the law firms in London, they have them so that you don't go home.
Okay, last question, and then maybe you can give us a parting shot of something that you didn't get a chance to share. Maybe we didn't ask directly to what you wanted to share. So my last question would be, give us the number. 8 hours sleep, 6 hours sleep. What's the right number?
I would certainly say nothing less than 6 hours for most of us. There are people who will tell you, I'm fine on 4 hours. You're fine because your body's learned to compensate. But you are not fine because you need sleep for more than just the energy to keep going. And of course, people are also giving themselves the energy from coffee and such, other stimulants during the day. You want to make sure that at least 6.5 hours at a minimum, because your body's going through sleep cycles, and certain things are happening in these 60 to 90 minute kind of cycles that are happening, and they need to be complete. And also, I should say there that it's not just any, let me say ideally 7 hours. It's not just any 7 hours. So it can't just be from 1 to 8. It needs to be from this side of midnight. So between 10 and 2, there's certain things that are happening in your body.
Yes.
2, 3.
I've heard this.
Exactly. Your liver, your kidneys, all these organs are doing different things at different times of your sleep. So the number for me would be get at least 7 hours.
7 hours, and this side of 12 is important.
This side of 12, yes, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I know that I said last question, but as you were elaborating, I thought of another second last, I guess that was the question. But I want to know, given you're going to have to cut this out, because I just went blank. I'm not sleeping enough.
No,
It's not
that
going
needs to
anywhere.
stay. That needs to
Not
stay.
going anywhere.
I literally just said, like, when, as you were saying, you spoke of sleep this side of the clock, 7 hours. Oh, yes.
Okay.
What's too much sleep?
Too much sleep would probably be 9 and up. We're talking for adults. And that's because people are suffering from all kinds of issues, autoimmune issues, depression. And because maybe you find that some people actually sleeping that much, but they're not sleeping. They're not really sleeping. You find that you're waking up after 9-10 hours, but you are still as exhausted as though you stayed up the whole night. And that, again, could still be founded on circadian rhythm dysregulation. And if you're able to fix that, then you don't need the 9 hours.
Anybody that struggles with anxiety knows exactly what you're talking about. Have you ever tried to force yourself to sleep through an anxiety attack? You're sleeping, but it's like this this very annoying sort of, but you can't bring yourself to get up because you're experiencing an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
So it feels better to be sleeping, but it's a very painful experience.
And that anxiety attack is probably happening because of your cortisol shooting up at the wrong time. And it's giving you because remember, cortisol being the energy hormone, adrenaline also, that thing that's happening in your body at the wrong time completely. Yeah.
Sure. So this thing ya gore bomme ba thapelo ba tsoa ka 3 ba rapela e wrong.
No, I really would not say that it's wrong because there's more to us, right? We even spoke about this a bit earlier. There's more to us than just the physiology. I think it's important to remember that we're whole people. So praying, I wouldn't recommend it every single night of your life. There are people who are doing that and it's between them and their God, and God made their bodies so he knows how they function. But if you're taking time out and saying, I don't know, maybe the beginning of the year, I'm going to take a week where I'm doing that. I definitely recommend that because your prayer life is also important for your psychology and your physiology.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. I hear you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any parting shots for us?
I always like to say to the people watching, get out, get some sun.
Sure. Get out and get some sunlight. Thank you, Lali. It was really such a pleasure having you and just sharing your journey with us.
Yes.
I know that I've taken a lot. And as soon as Given said, this is what we're talking about, I said, I need to hear this because I struggle a lot with sleep and I've been struggling with sleep my whole life. So,
Sure.
thank you so much.
Can be solved.
Yay! Get some sunlight, Ursh.
That's the thing. It's a lifestyle change. It's just simple but not easy.
Guys,
Can happen.
Given's about to kill me. Just have to tell one short story. This one time I didn't leave my house for 4 days. I didn't notice until the security called and said, we're worried about you.
Imagine.
And then I was like, why? It's like just to sit on the patio, like just out of the house. Then I was like,
That's scary indeed.
Yeah, and I kind of can literally block out curtains. Like I'm that person. Like I love my home. I check a 60 into the house. Like I don't have to leave the house. I won't. So just listening to this, I'm just like, yeah, this is a very needed conversation, and I'm sure.
And you must go to camps. I'm just saying. You heard
Go
the benefit
to
of camps.
Hey,
Yes.
there's an inside agenda here.
Go to camp.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That was today's episode. Don't forget to comment as well. Let us know your journey with sleep, what your thoughts are, what's helped you, and also show Lali some love. For now, though, goodbye and God bless.